Okay,
Yeah.
so it's Graveyard of Lost Species, and that project is really about or the stories. Firstly, I mean, there's this boat which belongs to Ian Slater, so it belongs to someone.
Who is Ian Slater?
Ian Slater is a local. He's a local kind of boat owner, along with his brother, and he's owned this boat since 1976.
Was it an operating Borley boat then?
Before then, from 1963 to 76, it had been converted into kind of like, people being able to sail about on it. Before that, it was a working Borley, in Southend from 1933 when it was made. And the thing is that it's like a really important thing about this is that like it would cost about $500,000 to put it back together. So it's impossible for everyone, to do such a thing. And so rather than, she was dying out there in the marsh. She'd been out there 7 years buried in the marsh. And so like by suggesting to Ian that because for Ian, you have to think about a boat like this, not so much as like that it's in a state, but for him, when he was like doing grotty building jobs, this was his imagination. This was what carried him. You know what I mean? On all those journeys when he's under a floorboard trying to get a bit of electric flex, you know what I mean, underneath. This boat carried him away and enabled him to.
Is that because he had a desire to rebuild the boat at some point, or
he always had it. I mean, he was trying to keep it up, but it's an enormous boat to keep up. You can't do it on your own. And I mean, there was an industry, behind keeping these boats going, which has gone. So what do? Do you give it to someone like ultra rich to kind of restore it and take it away, and then it wouldn't be the possession of everyone, or do you allow it to die gracefully? And everyone,
and meaningfully.
Yeah. And when I started to suggest, because at first we were going to pull some planks out of another wreck and engrave on those, but when it come to it, the idea of like taking this, and I told the blokes in the hut that are not the most poetic people in the universe, the cocklers, but they really, really got it. They really got that this would give her, you know what I mean, a kind of send-off.
Dignity.
A dignity. Yeah. And also that, like, they could talk about the things they wanted to. And a really important part in that story was when Boris was doing the airport thing, and he was going, no one lives here. And when they're doing, like, the conservation zone, when they're doing the London Gateway, no one lives here. And all the stuff that they put forward in all the meetings is always quantifiable. It's always about models that they created of the seabed and of everything else. And all the knowledge that people have gained through working here and living here, for generations is missing. So how can you represent those kinds of, memories, understandings, kinds of thinking into the realm of governance? How can you there is, and the way that I thought, standing there on the beach working on my old boat, was okay, well, art is probably like an amazing method of being able to bring that to prominence. And just the council trying to situate this boat somewhere, once it's inscribed with all these memories, thoughts and reactions, to this, to what's gone, becomes loaded. So for me, it's a way of like Southend Council can't ignore a 40-foot, 12-ton boat that they need to situate somewhere with all this stuff loaded in it. And also that the people working on it and giving their stories, from the Belton Way Small Craft Club, the cocklers, people in the yard, people that live here in little huts. There's some people that live here in containers, some people in caravans, some people on the mud, all adding in their stories. So I think Steve says, basically it's the kind of dispossessed. The cocklers are not, they're barons.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
They're doing okay, but everyone else that's kind of lost, all the small boat fishermen, the inshore fishermen, the people doing the pots, all the people that were doing the prawns that are now gone, all those kinds of things. It means that, you value those memories and those contradictory beliefs and ideas about the estuary, and you give it the kind of complexity and difficulty in understanding, but you bring that into an object, and then say to the council, well, this is it. And the practice of wrecking your boat, putting your boat on the mud and leaving it there to die, it's really old. It's a way of keeping your memories. You know, people go and pick bits off, but people know most of the wrecks that are in living memory. They know them. They know them by name. They know who sailed them, and they remember them. So we're kind of like, so all of these different things come together in these old pieces of wood.